McNairy County was going down when Buford Pusser came back to town. But the no-good crowd came to meet their match when Buford Pusser pinned on the sheriff's badge. He was a 6'6" cleanup crew, and he had to do what he had to do all by himself. He got on the case to make this Tennessee county a better place. Buford Pusser was a Tennessee stallion, just one man against the whole battalion. They laid him down, but his legacy still lives on with you and me. They put 8 bullets in old Buford's frame, but he kept on coming for more of the same. He was stabbed 7 times and he lost his wife. Yeah, Buford Pusser paid one terrible price. But he set an example for the town's good men, and he blazed the path that they're walking in. They'll be all right because he took his stand. Buford showed them all how to be a man. Buford Pusser was a Tennessee stallion, just one man against the whole battalion. They laid him down, but his legacy still lives on with you and me. Still lives on with you and me.
She said, "Sheriff, I want to speak to you a minute." So Buford proceeded to follow her out of the office into number 1 cabin, which was her living quarters. And as he got inside of the door of the number 1 cabin, she had on a sweater with pockets in it. And she had this little snub-nosed .38 in there. And she come out with that .38 and said, "I'm going to kill you." And as she wheeled with the gun, Buford seen her, and he fell across the bed just as she fired. And then from the looks of it, she had fired at the big part of him, which was his chest. And as he went down, put his head where his chest would normally have been, and I'd say she missed his head approximately 4 inches. The bullet went out the window into the post that holds the shed up in front of the office. And unless they put a new post there, and I doubt it, you'll see a chip chopped out of there now. It's where I took a hatchet and cut the bullet out of the post that she had fired it in. But as he went down and she fired, he come out with his .41 Magnum. He fired the first shot. He hit her on the left side of the neck and cut a trench across her neck and shoulder. And it spun her around. And as she spun around, she still had the gun in firing position to fire again. The next shot hit her in the right breast and come out of her back. And you can stick a doorknob in her back where the bullet come out. She hit the floor, hit a chair, turned the chair over, hit the floor on her back, and she raised the gun up again. The next shot, he caught her in the left jaw, underneath her jawbone, and come out the back of her head.
During your reign here as McNairy County Sheriff, you have been forced to kill 2 persons. Louise Hathcock, who you killed near the state line at the Shamrock Motel there, and then Charles Russell Hamilton that you killed here in Selmer. Does the fact that you had to take these 2 human lives ever haunt you?
Yes, of course. I've seen Miss Hathcock 1,000 times, I guess, since I had to take her life, and also Mr. Hamilton. I mean, you watch someone die that you know that you pulled the trigger that killed him, because even though that is line of duty and self-defense, I mean, you still can't keep from seeing them and watch them draw that last breath and then not think anything about it, I don't believe.
Well, let me tell you all a story about a 2-fisted rocket-busting cop. Buford Pusser is the name, and many years ago he vowed to put a stop to all the law-breaking, double-dealing, underhanded crimes he knew to be going on right there in McNairy County, Tennessee. Watching people being killed while the county turned its head the other way. Buford made himself a promise that he knew that he was gonna keep someday. He was gonna be a lawman and in one way or another make 'em pay for all the wrongs going on here in Murder City, USA. On a backwoods country road, the sheriff and his pretty little wife went investigating trouble, and it ended up by costing him her life. But the sheriff is still living, those 2 bullets went a-ripping through his head. But somehow he made it 10 long miles of town, though he'd been given up for dead. Now in McNairy County, Tennessee, the sheriff is walking tall today. And like a monument, he stands for law enforcement in his own relentless way. So if you want to live a life of crime, then brother, I'd advise you not to be hanging around no town in McNairy County, Tennessee. Now black smoke's rising from the poplar trees. They're making moonshine liquor down in Tennessee. Look out, bootleggers, Buford's sniffing around. Got a nose for whiskey like a hot bloodhound. He's a lawman. Lord, Lord, what a lawman. Now he can stare down the barrel of a 44, leave 6 men lying on a barroom floor. Buford won't back down when the going gets tough. If he comes to get you, you can pack your stuff. He's a lawman.
Gonna help you, boy, if you carry a bounty. Don't plant your feet in McNairy County. Got a man with the plan of upholding the law, standing proud and walking tall. He's a lawman. He's a lawman.
McNairy County, Tennessee Sheriff Buford Pusser was hardly believable, even as a legend. During his wife's ambush, Pusser was also seriously hurt. When he died in a fiery car crash, he had undergone 16 facial operations to restore his jaw, which was mutilated by high-powered rifle bullets. The 6'6", 250-pound Pusser became a living monument to justice during his 6-year reign as McNairy County Sheriff, casting across the nation one of the tallest shadows in the history of law enforcement. His narrow escapes from death inspired songs, countless newspaper and magazine articles, a book, The 12th of August, and 3 movies. Buford Pusser is dead, but like other folk heroes of the past, his legend lives on.
I am Jack Kaufman, born and raised in Adamsville, Tennessee, here at the Buford Pusser Home and Museum. Buford graduated 2 years before me. I graduated in 58 and he graduated in 56. And we knew each other, but wasn't real close till Buford moved back and became chief of police in Adamsville, and we became close. And then when he ran for sheriff, I drove him the first day he ran for sheriff. I drove him. He went door to door. And I look now and see all this stuff, and it brings back a lot of memories. And in fact, there's stuff here that Buford gave me, and a lot of stuff that me and Buford did together. And over in the corner you'll see pictures of me and Buford and my brother. They were made in Paducah, Kentucky when Buford was in Paducah during the showing of the movie Walking Tall. And then there's another picture there in Paducah with Jack Collar, which owned the theater in Paducah. Me and him and Buford in it. And then also over here I have a copy of the telegram that Buford called me one night. And I was living in Paducah at the time, and Buford called and told me that Bing Crosby had seen him on national TV. And they wanted to talk to him about making a movie about his life. And Buford thought they were kidding. He couldn't imagine anybody doing this. And of course then we didn't have cell phones. The only thing we had just a regular phone. So Buford told him if they had anything to say to him, put it in writing. And so they sent Buford a copy of a Western Union telegram. He said, if I get anything, I'll send you a copy of it, Jack. And I said, okay. And so Buford, a couple of weeks later, I got a copy of the telegram telling about what they pay him and what they had in mind. And so I moved back home in 78, and the museum opened in 88, and I found the copy along with some other stuff that I had of me and Buford, and so I brought and gave the museum a copy of it. Also, there's an 8-track tape player here in the display case that was in the ambush car when Pauline was killed. And I was home and Buford was cleaning the car out, and he asked me if I wanted a tape player. And I said, Buford, I don't really need it. And he said, well, we're going to get rid of it. So anyway, I unhooked it from under the dash, and I remember it still had blood on it. And so I put it in a sack and kept it all them years. I moved back home, and when the museum opened in 88, I was going through some stuff and I found it, and I never had used it, and so I brought it down to the museum and they cleaned it up and put it in the showcase. Also, there's a picture of Deputy Jim Moffitt looking at the ambush car here in the showcase right after the ambush, and Jim standing there looking at it, and over the side in the background is my father. My father was the State Game Fish Commission. He was game warden, and it shows him standing there looking at the car. And me and Buford, everybody knew Buford. Buford had a lot of friends. I wasn't the only one, by no means, but we were close because he would come to Paducah and stay a week at a time. When the movie came out, he came and stayed a week. At that time, it was the largest movie ever been in Paducah, or I guess anywhere. And it was amazing to see people for blocks lined up, waiting to get an autograph or trying to get in the movie. And Buford looked at me and grinned. He said, you believe this? And I said, no, I can't believe this. But I come home on weekends, and I'd come to the house. I'd come down the stairs here. And these stairs, I knew Buford slept with a pistol under his pillow, and I knew he had nightmares. And I'd come down these stairs, and I'd always make a little noise when I come down because I was afraid he'd have a bad dream and shoot me, and which is truth. And so I'd make sure he knew I was coming. But I'd come in and on weekends, and we'd ride together, and I'd ride with him to some of the, I call them joints, beer joints, and make a few rounds. And I learned real quick that when we go to these beer joints that I knew a lot of people here, my dad being game warden, and so I got to thinking I might be over there sometime without him. And so got to where right off the bat I realized I better do something. So we'd pull up to one, and I'd tell Buford, I'd say, Buford, I'll go in, I'll sit down at the bar or something, and you come in. When you get ready to go, you motion, I'll meet you at the car. Because I was afraid he might do something, and next time I'd be over there without him, and they'd take advantage of me. So you learn real quick being around Pusser what you should do and what you shouldn't. And he was good at reminding you. But I have so many memories of this place, and I try to help the museum. I try to help the city, and that's the only reason I come by and do this. Because, like I said, I've got a lot of memories and a lot of memorabilia of Buford's. I also have the gun here in the case that I have on loan. .357 Python. It's a beautiful gun, and it was Python. They made 49 of them, I believe, and this is number 41. And I just glad to see people come to the museum, and I'll be glad to help them, talk to them, whatever I can do anytime.
Buford was a sheriff down in Tennessee, became a legend in history, yeah, enforcing the law. Well, it didn't take long for the news to spread from town to town. You ain't keeping a good man down. No, I'm walking tall. You can stab me, you can shoot me, you'll just find yourself some time. 'Cause when I catch up with you, you're gonna be mine. 'Cause when you cross the county line, every county line, every county line. Still, mom couldn't bribe, look the other way, with money stolen and gambled away at their Shamrock Motel. But people refused and kept the whiskey stills burning the sky. And when Ambush left to die, well, he survived to tell. You can stab me, you can shoot me, you'll just find yourself some time. 'Cause when I catch up with you, you're gonna be mine. 'Cause when you cross the county line, every county line, every county line. Stab me, you can shoot me, you'll just find yourself some time. 'Cause when I catch up with you, you're gonna be mine. 'Cause when you cross the county line, every 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 county line.
It was such a proud moment for me to be here, and also as part of the National Police Officer Memorial Wall, because I think it's incredibly important. You know, death ends a life. It doesn't end a relationship. If one thing that death tells us, it tells us that God is still in control. And I think that's one of the things we've got to remember every single year. I was in Washington, D.C. this past Monday for the candlelight vigil service in Washington. We had two of our deputies in Louisiana in St. John the Baptist Parish were brutally murdered at the hands of two individuals in that parish. We had another deputy who was killed in Natchitoches Parish. A wildlife and fishery agent was also killed, so we were honoring their presence. And what brought my attention to the National Law Enforcement Memorial Wall, which is the names of all the law enforcement officers that are killed in the line of duty, was a young couple with a small child. And the young lady was crying at the wall, and her hand was on one of the names. So I went up to her and started talking to her. And that was the name of her dad that was killed in the line of duty when she was 1 year old. And so she never remembered her dad, but she made a commitment when they built that wall that she would go every year to that memorial service, and she would be there so that she would let her dad know that she would never, ever forget him. And that's what the National Law Enforcement Officer Memorial is. That's why every single year we come together across the nation to remember the names of those individuals that paid the ultimate sacrifice and gave their lives in the line of duty. So it's certainly proud for me to be here today to be a part of your festivities, remembering those that paid that ultimate sacrifice. And to sit here and receive the National Buford Pusser Award, I cannot tell you and put in words what that means to me. Growing up as a young man, a young boy, and listening to the exploits of Sheriff Pusser, to know what he was about, to, of course, to see him on television and to see him on that movie picture show was indeed just an incredible honor. And then to come here today, to be so blessed to be able to receive this award just means the most to me. I'll leave you with this, and to our law enforcement officers, our first responders are here. Let me tell you, the most precious thing I have on my uniform is this badge right here, and the integrity that comes with wearing that badge. Because let me tell you, it's not a right. It's a privilege to wear this badge, and it's a privilege you, the citizens, allow us to wear this badge. I can tell you, when my dad pinned this badge on me, when as a little boy, my grandfather in downtown Alexandria would make me get up on Saturday mornings to go with him to the post office. I'm 5 or 6 years old, 7 years old, and I'm walking around. I had to go up and shake somebody's hand. I had to tell them my name. I had to repeat their name. That's the last place I wanted to be on a Saturday morning, walking hand in hand with my dad or my grandfather, and I was 5 or 6 years old. But you know something? That is the only place I would like to be right now, was holding his hand and walking in downtown Alexandria. And we forget that sometimes. So, Miss Dewana, Sheriff, Chief, Mayor, thank you so much for honoring me. Thank you so much for giving a blessing in my life. And to you, the citizens of this county, thank you so much for what you do every day. And thank you for allowing us to wear this badge. Thank you all so very much.